This week, the Trump character has a uniting and positive impact on an election in Canada. Our neighbors to the north have a huge distaste for this guy, and this is a country that likes poutine. But respect. Only the GOAT can have people vote against him in an election he's not even in that takes place in another country. Plus, will we see a Pope Trump? Many say, nah, the Trump character will never move into the Vatican. Not gaudy enough. As for Catholics, they're split. Some are greatly offended. Others are curious about a possible St. Hannibal Lecter and Our Lady Queen of Grope. Either way, with ICE out there and Pope Trump, not a good time for guys named Jesus. And with the economy teetering on the edge of recession, personal liberties under attack, and democracy itself hanging in the balance, the Trump character marks just 100 days. Dude, pace yourself. If you keep going at this rate, there may not be anything left to fuck up. And the Trump character floats the idea of reopening Alcatraz. He said he came up with it when he started wondering if it was possible to bankrupt a prison. And Elon Musk leaves Doge to spend more time with his failing Tesla stock. Tesla reportedly lost $650 billion, but let's not forget, Musk did get a chance to fire a bunch of park rangers, so cool? Elon reportedly lost over $140 billion of his personal wealth, bringing his net worth down to $330 billion. Now that might still seem like a lot, but once you factor in the inheritance by all his offspring, each kid's only walking away with $6,000. And Katy Perry goes into space, marking the second time she's defied gravity. A boob joke that has nothing to do with the Trump universe, free of charge. It's a dizzying episode with storylines introduced and resolved at a frantic pace. This is Talking Trump, the American Emperor Aftershow.
Well, maybe the children will have 2 dolls instead of $30, you know? And maybe the 2 dolls will cost a couple of bucks more than they would normally.
All right, everyone, I'm Christopher Lansing. I'm joined by author, filmmaker, and pop culture critic Tom Robb. Welcome to the show, sir.
Pleasure to be here.
Let's get at it. Another phenomenal episode. All right, this week's episode revolved around the turbulence caused by the Trump character. As always, he was just on a full-fledged mission of upsetting people. He continues to go after the Canadian people, which is hard to do, to get them upset, but he's gotten there within the context of the show. He's upset the economy. The way that the Trump character is talking, the way that he is appearing on camera to address the public, whether it's in a speech or in a press conference, he's constantly doling out misinformation and grievances. Do you think that at the rate that they're going, they're in danger of actually running out of misinformation and grievances?
I think they are in danger. I mean, the audience's appetite is seemingly limitless, but I think that they're pushing it here.
One thing he was bitching about was when you buy a hero at a sub place and they don't cut it entirely in half, like they leave a little of the bread together and you kind of have to pull it apart, and sometimes lettuce or tomato falls out because you're pulling. He was aggrieved for that, which they do that for a reason. They don't want the sandwich to fall apart, in your hands. So that's a technique. They wouldn't do it at every single deli place unless there was a reason, is my point.
I think that's a great metaphor for the frustrations of daily life, and you can't take personally the little inconveniences that probably have some secret reason just because it's inconvenient to you.
Let's shift our focus right now to what the Trump character is doing narratively with Canada. The show has spent considerable energy this season with the Trump character just constantly trying to piss off Canada. Of course, we know that in real life, Canadians are adorable, especially when they're miffed. Okay, but what do you think the purpose of this idea of pissing off Canada is serving for the show?
I think it's just part of the character's internal contents. They want to project a person upsettingly attacks the benign. Of course we love Canadians, but we saw this in previous episodes where he had leprechauns slaughtered, he killed Easter bunnies, he murdered Santa. He does not want the icons of kindness and generosity and beauty to go unpunished.
My feeling is you see Canada used in TV and film narratives a lot, famously by the South Park guys and their whole blame Canada thing. Americans are largely conditioned to chuckle at them. They adore them. The Canadians are recognized as kind and polite people. But I feel like this show is going to end up doing is, and their mission is to change that narrative and actually have Canada not only attack America, but you'll see that they are a vicious enemy when provoked, not the lovable neighbors that we know from the North. We'll see them fight like essentially the Lakota Sioux fought Custer, decapitations, body mutilations. It'll get crazy. And I think that will be a huge impact on the audience watching the show.
Agreed 100%.
Now, the Trump character's treatment of Canada is having ramifications within the show. They do a good job of presenting its impact. Look at these polls that we saw in this most recent episode. Now, they're saying here, 1 year ago, when asked about America, look how Canadians responded. They were totally on board. 63% saying, America, wicked. Ooh, wait, everything okay? You need a place to stay? Being concerned about their neighbors to the south. 29% said, oh, let's crack open a cold one, inviting us for a beer. 5% said in a quiet tone, hey, everything okay? You know, you could say anything to me. Always being a friend to us. Then a month ago, after the Trump character had recaptured the presidency within the narrative American Emperor, the numbers start to change. 47% of Canadians, everything okay at home, bud. 32%. Just saying, geez, 3% here. So someone's a little cranky. And then look, last week they released these polls. 59% are saying, no, Liam, I'm going to say something. Did we do anything wrong to you? 28% here saying, oh, a friend of mine started taking medication. It really worked out for him. They're suggesting us to take medication because they obviously, the way that we're acting to them has them concerned. And then this number has never been this high. 13% saying, you're kind of acting like a dick. So you can see that it's having an impact already in the way that Canadians are within the show are processing what America means and what it symbolizes.
Well, I've been skeptical of polls for a long time. I recently read a poll asked, do you approve of the Trump character's jowls, false-looking hairdo, of the shape of his body? It was 97% approval, till it was revealed in a small key to the poll. It was for the mentally differently abled. They were the target audience. I think there's a lot of suspicion in my camp about the efficacy and accuracy of polling specific groups of people to get the answers you want.
The Trump character has maintained this season that he also still wants to attack and claim Greenland and Panama. This is a big task for the show to take on, but are they trying to reverse the paradigm of what our entire culture thinks of an ally and an enemy? Are they literally trying to make people begin to associate the term ally with enemy and vice versa?
Yes, I think it's an Orwellian sort of speak reversal to twist the meanings of everything, where God means dog and dog means God, good means bad and bad means good. You know, he is a character who likes to disrupt, and disrupting the language is at the root of it. And it's also a case of changing the nature of classic storytelling, of turning it on its ear, because all of our expectations are now different, almost non-existent.
I mean, it leads to the question, and this is probably a deeper question than we want to ask her. With all this turning of traditional storytelling on its ear, will we get to a point ultimately in society outside of the show where stories themselves will change? They won't have endings, or they won't have beginnings. A parent will sit in front of their child, begin to tell that child a story. They'll start in the middle and then they'll just taper off and leave the room. Will storytelling as itself be so turned on its ear that it becomes almost completely unrecognizable from where it was, a decade ago?
I think so. We're seeing this with silent stories, with one-word stories, with stories where you simply close your eyes and shut your mouth, and that's the story. For some, they're less satisfying, they're less entertaining. For others, it's something new to really unpack.
Yeah, I saw like a prototype of a story book for children telling the famous, traditional tale of the three pigs. And normally each page tells a different version. This one, it started with a title page that said the three pigs, and then the second page that you opened was just a straw hut completely dissembled, and then that was the last page of the story.
I saw a similar Three Pigs story, and it was you open it up and there's simply a carved out area where there's a piece of bacon. So
very dark.
There's no telling what they're going to come up with.
That's very dark. This show is famous for the amount of new characters it's constantly producing. What I'd like to do right now is take a look at some of the new characters that have been prominent in the last few weeks. I want to know if you think that they're going to last on the show or if they're just a flash in the pan. We're going to play a little game of buy a house or save that money.
If you're not watching on YouTube, what you're seeing here is a produced segment opening for buy a house or save that money.
First up, Big Bad Vlad, Vladimir Putin. This character, like we talked about in last episode, they've been building up to him a lot, but he hasn't said a ton. Is he going to be a fixture going forward, or is he not? Should that actor buy a house or save that money?
I think save that money. I think we're going to see this character disappear. He doesn't say enough. He hasn't latched on to us. He's too mysterious and enigmatic. We haven't been able to sink our teeth into it. Next
up, this new press secretary character, Caroline Levitt. She's blonde. She's feisty. She's had a lot of camera time. Should she get that extra work on her eyebrows or open up something safe? A 529 plan account.
I think buy a house. I think we're seeing a future where government employees are sort of Twinkie sorority girls. No longer will we see the Ron Zieglers or the Ron Nessens as press secretaries, or even the sort of bestial Sarah Huckabee Sanders types. I think it's
all blonde bimbos from here on in. I think
exactly. It's like Porky's 7.
I agree. I would say to that character, get that work, that facial plastic surgery that you were thinking about doing it. Go ahead and spend that money because you're going to be around for a while. Next up, Marco Rubio. We talked about him in the last episode. He's been around for a while. I'm getting a very strong indication that this is the year he comes into his own. He's already gotten a ton of screen time. Trump character hired him because he has no respect for him. And it's his personal crisis within his own character arc, whether or not he'll stand up for himself, which he clearly won't. So should he go ahead and buy that summer place he and his wife were looking at near the lake? Or should he start thinking about transferring them between his kids to a public school because he's not going to have a job much longer?
Buy the second home. This guy's a metaphor for the American people. Weakness, cowardice, shame, and fear. Yes, absolutely. He's sticking around.
Yeah, I would say, hey, buddy, you got your eye on that place at the lake that you've been dreaming about? Go ahead and buy it. You're going to be employed for a while on this show. Trump character is having too good a time humiliating you. Now, I want to talk about this Tommy Tuberville character. It's hard to decipher. This character is obviously mentally affected. Rumor has it in a future episode, they're going to reveal that in his past as a football coach, he was responsible for a number of kids getting CTE. And then he went to recruit a player from a Caribbean island who put a curse on Tuberville that said, all the CTE that you were responsible for is going to go back to you tenfold. I also understand the actor who plays him apparently was hit by lightning a number of times. Is this guy a guy who's going to be around for a while? Should he invest in a fleet of limos that he's always dreamed about? Or should he put his money in the mattress in his mother's bedroom where he sleeps?
I think he should save his money. I think they made a misstep when they came up with the Tuberville name. It's too comical. It's like Carstairs or Carruthers or Humperdinck. There's just no way anybody's going to believe he even exists. So I think he's gone.
Let's move on to this Chuck Schumer character. Again, another character has been laying around. They brought him into the spotlight to give him this huge scene where he just capitulates to the Trump character. Is he the new foil for the Trump character? A character similar to Rip Taylor, who makes a lot of fanfare about everything, but then, completely is toothless. Should this Chuck Schumer character go ahead and get that dental work that he's needed for years? Or should he basically pull back and find a dentist in an immigrant community that can fix some things with some wires and some tape?
Go to El Salvador for your work. It's interesting. He's a traitor character. People love to hate him. So you'd think he would have legs. At the same time, they hired a rather unattractive actor that people are repelled by. So it's hard to know. I'm going to say rent a hotel room, but one which you could possibly write off. You might be gone. You might stay.
And finally, before we go to break, they've given Elon these team of minions, these young douchey kids with nicknames like Big Balls and real names like Gautier and Gavin. Are they going to be able to stick around to pay off some of their student loans? Or should they go and find some sort of weird Bitcoin thing where they could eke out a living?
I think the funny names category is a non-starter, and they should get a job in the dad's painting business.
All right, well, when we come back, we're going to answer some of the questions sent in by you, the listeners. That's right, Talking Trump, talk back. When we return, you're listening to Talking Trump, the American Emperor After Show. All right, new sponsor this week. I'm excited for the read. Let's check it out. Okay. Right. Is the economy getting you down? Do you need some quick cash? Sure, you could try cash for gold or cash for silver if you want to get ripped off. But if you want real value and real cash, don't mess around with something as unpredictable as gold. Go for top dollar, because these days you need more. Introducing Cash for Eggs. Eggs are at an all-time high in value right now, and with the way prices are going, it looks like that value is going to remain excellent. So go to your kitchen and open up that vault you call a fridge, because you're sitting on a nest egg and it's about to hatch. Operators are standing by waiting for your call. So no matter how scrambled your finances are, get yourself some hard-boiled cash and your debt problems will be over easy. Frittata. Now, will the high value of eggs sustain? You bet your ass. But don't take it from me. Take it from this guy.
They hit me with eggs. And we did an unbelievable job. And now eggs are all over the place. And the price went down 92%.
92%? He's a liar. So once again, if you're looking for a little cash, give us a call at Cash for Eggs. If the eggs are laid, then you can get paid. We do not accept egg salad. All right, welcome back to Talking Trump, the American Emperor After Show. I'm with author, director, pop culture critic, Mr. Tom Robb. As always, time now for a segment where we answer questions from you, the audience. This is Talking Trump. Talk back. By the way, if you want to send us a question, hit us up on Instagram at American Emperor After Show. Our first question comes from Rebecca Conway of Madison, Wisconsin. And she says, I really love how this week's episode ended up with a rare after-credits scene that hinted at the possibility that the Baron Trump character was instrumental in getting his dad to spring the Tate brothers from a Romanian jail and get them back to America. Is this the heel turn that we were waiting for from the Baron Trump character? And can you be that tall and be a human trafficker?
That's such an interesting point, and I think they're opening up sex trafficking to a world of the deformed, where sort of pituitary cases like Baron Trump are going to play roles in international crimes. It's interesting that these two brothers also wanted to start a sort of Eastern European professional basketball league, which they wanted Baron Trump to be the face of. So that's just another side plot line where we'll cut into basketball games. It's a 6-foot hoop league. So you're going to be seeing the Baron Trumps of the world that are 7'2" and 7'3" slam dunking without even leaving the ground. It's an interesting idea and a little comic relief from the darker aspects of this show.
I understand when he was bringing the Tate brothers back, it would have happened earlier in the run of the show, but the Trump character did not recognize them since they had been in jail. Their hair had grown back, and the Trump character kept saying, "These guys with the receding hairlines? Why?" And then finally, when they landed, they were able to get the utensils to shave their heads for their trademark look.
Exactly.
So,
and we saw a similar thing when he was very put out by the change in appearance of the Menendez brothers, who he's a big fan of. is very upset that their hair length is changed.
Yeah, and here's a little prediction for me. The Baron Trump character, you will know that he's made this heel turn official when he lobbies his dad to release the Jeroen Vandersloot character, who is sitting in some Ecuadorian jail right now, I believe, for his involvement in the disappearance of 2 American young, pretty tourists and their subsequent deaths. Our next question comes to us from Alex Glover of Modesto, California, and he asks, this week we saw a tease where the Trump character is considering bringing back the Dr. Oz character for another round of storyline, another round of cameos on the show. Do you think the Dr. Oz character will become a prominent member of the cast going forward, at least for the next few episodes?
I think they're going to try to float him as 5 different cabinet members because, the actor is so charismatic. So I agree. We will be seeing that.
Yeah, I think so too. I think don't rule out a possible romance between the Dr. Oz character and the Lara Trump character. The audience hasn't embraced them entirely yet. So if they get them into some sort of romantic relationship, they're thinking, okay, we have a better shot at doing this and a better shot of them having legs on the show.
Agree 100%.
All right. Well, stick with us, people. When we come back, we're going to close out the show with a few predictions of what to look for next week. More Talking Trump, the American Emperor After Show, when we return. All right, welcome back, everyone. This is Talking Trump, the American Emperor After Show. Right now, before we close out the show, a couple of quick predictions for the coming weeks. I'm going to go first here, Tom. I'm very interested always in the ways that the show creates additional revenue. And I think what you're going to see is they're going to keep the television show, but they're going to move to theatrical releases. They're going to start remaking classic films starring the Trump character. And the first one out of the gate is going to be Casablanca. And they're going to do this incredible build-up where they're going to constantly advertise it and cross-promote it on the show. They're going to build to a giant premiere where in a number of different cities within the country, they're going to have these huge Hollywood-style premieres. It's going to be the Trump character in Casablanca. And basically, they're going to charge all this money for all the rights, and everybody shows up and all the tickets and all the, everything. That it's going to be a huge money grab for them. And then when we actually see the film of Casablanca, you're going to see it in black and white. It's going to be a shot-for-shot remake, except the character of Rick, who is played by the Trump character, immediately gives up the game. The scene where the German officers come into the club and start to sing their song, the Trump character is not going to lead a response to that. He's just going to let them sing that song. And then as soon as they're done, he's going to give them the whereabouts of Laszlo. And basically the movie's going to be over. It's going to be 12 minutes long, but they're going to have made that cash. And then the movie, you're going to roll credits. And essentially you'll see maybe over the final credits and an after credit scene, the Laszlo character get assassinated on the runway next to a plane. And that'll be their remake of Casablanca. And then they'll do it for various different movies afterwards.
I think that's a great prediction. And I think that's a great marketing idea as well. And I wouldn't put it past them. My prediction is much simpler. One of the plot points missing in The American Emperor has been a lovable pet mascot, an animal. And I think we're going to introduce, by way of a gift from Putin, we're going to see a miniature gorilla take his place on the Resolute desk next to the Trump character, almost seemingly whispering advice, but certainly being on his lap, being a comfort animal. And that, for your marketing scheme, we're going to see millions of these things on the open market.
Wow. And I'll speak for the American culture. Too many times, Americans go through fads where they buy pets. For example, the latest one was during the pandemic, where everybody seemed to get a pandemic pet. Normally it was a dog. Hundreds of thousands of dogs were adopted because people were in their homes living and basically wanted to take care of a dog. They thought it would be cute entertainment or whatever. And then when that situation goes away, essentially you see thousands of unfortunate dogs be, essentially abandoned. And I think that situation where people emulate the Trump character and buy these gorillas. They'll buy them for real. And then once the fad is over, they'll just kind of like, eschew the gorilla. And then our streets will have a societal problem. We'll be surrounded by gorillas.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. And then we'll have a whole other problem. We're going to have to get gorilla control. That'll be a government agency.
Another bloated government agency that'll require firing almost as soon as it's hired.
Yes, exactly. All right, well, that's it for us for this episode. For Tom Robb, I'm Christopher Lansing. Thanks for joining us, and please check out and subscribe to our show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. The links are in our show notes. Go ahead and leave us a comment. Positive ones only, folks. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Thank you, Mr. Tom Robb, for helping me out this week, and I can't wait to speak about a future episode.
My pleasure.